Hello, my name is Robert Higginbotham, and in this video I'll be following and expanding on Assessed Tutorial 3. The objective of this tutorial is to unwrap the UVs for the retro arcade cabinet produced in the previous tutorial, and produce a UV map for texturing. For this video, I'll begin by following along with the guided tutorial using a saved version of the arcade cabinet before I added the extra detail. I'll then move on to doing the same for the modified version. The first thing that we're going to do is make sure that we've got the object selected, and we're going to go over to the modifiers panel, make sure that we have editable poly selected, and search for Unwrap UVW. With the modifier applied, we can then click Open UV Editor, and this allows us to see the texture space. Before we go any further with this, I've just had a realisation that this model had an Engon. So we're going to delete the Unwrap UVW, and then we're just going to come down here and fix this problem. And from what I can see in the video, I believe the way that he's fixed it is he's taken a cut and cut from this vert up to here, and the same on the other side, like that. So now I'm definitely working on the same model as in the video, and we'll just apply that unwrap again. And then we'll open the UV editor, and again we can see the texture space with those changes applied. Now we're going to start by removing the predetermined seams on the model, and the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go to the mapping channels and move up a channel and abandon, and back down a channel and move, and this is cleared all predefined seams. Now we're going to use box mapping for this model, so I'm going to select everything in the texture space, go to mapping, normal mapping, and we're going to change this drop down toggle to box mapping and hit OK. Now this has arranged the model into the texture space, and it's not utilising the full space. What we're going to do is switch over to the texture checker, and this will allow us to see the texel density of the model using the checker. So we're going to take the whole selection inside the texture space, and we're going to scale this up like that, and we're going to use that to check for any skewing in the texture. Just took me a moment to remember how to scale inside the UV editor. It's been a little while. We can see that around the model the texture applies quite cleanly. Now we can see in the UV editor that we've got places like this where objects are overlapping, and that's definitely going to cause problems for texturing. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of it, and we're going to go to Pack Custom and hit that, and it's going to attempt to pack everything within that space with no overlapping UVs. Now currently the orientation's off because we can see that the sides of the arcade cabinet are on the sides, and ideally we want them the correct way around inside the UV. So we're going to select everything and we're going to rotate 90 degrees. I'll just Control Z that and we'll hit the snaps toggle. That's much easier. And there we go, we should have everything more or less the correct orientation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move all of these surfaces out of the texture space, and we're going to start trying to repack them into the space that we have in the most efficient way. Now, we know that these are the sides, and these are actually quite nicely laid out for us. So we're going to take these and we're going to try and pack them into this corner as tightly as possible. I'm going to zoom right in just to be sure that we're not actually leaving the area, but and giving ourselves a tiny little bit of padding, but enough to ensure that the maximum amount of space is utilised here. Come up a touch here. We've still got the space there, and we've still got a little bit of padding there. So, a couple of things to consider. The texel density is obviously the resolution for the model. So if we were to take something like, I believe that's the screen, yeah, and we pull that in and we scale it up, you can see in the model that this increases the resolution of that image, and we can utilise that to better pack important parts of the model. But for the purpose of this tutorial and to follow along with the video, I'm not going to be doing that. We're going to save that for the unwrap of the modified version. So what we're going to do here is we're going to ensure that any of these objects that are slightly rotated and they have the aliasing down the edges, we're going to straighten them out, and we're going to continue packing all of these parts as efficiently as we can, and then we'll try scaling up a touch, and then we'll try to refit them in again. But from this point I'm going to time-lapse the video, and I'll pick back up once we've got everything within the texture space. Since these are less important parts of the model, they're going to be on the inside of the frame and they're going to be black, I feel that we can afford to lose a little bit of resolution for this. I believe this is outside what the tutorial tells us to do, but I feel like we're going to get a much more desirable result by just scaling these down a little. We'll fit them inside the screen, and I'll continue the time lapse. So I'm going to make the decision at this point to take the top of the model, the bottom of the model, and the back of the model, and lower the texture of them. I feel like that's going to get us the best results. We'll be able to make better use of the texture space for parts that the player, or whatever this would actually go into in the end, the viewer is going to see more of. And that's about as tightly packed as I think I can get this particular unwrap. Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed about this gap here. I would have liked to have filled that. So, just to do a quick rundown of what I've done here, we've scaled everything uniformly, and then we've taken the back and reduced the texel density of the back a little, because the player or the viewer won't be seeing the back very often. We've done the same for the base, which is the lowest resolution part of the model, because it's going to be rare that the player would see that, but if we were to have one upturned, we wouldn't want just an open gap in the model. And we've done the same for the top a little. Again, it's only a slightly less resolution. If I zoom right in, you can see the grid, the difference in size in there. And again, it's because the player's going to rarely see it, and I could fit it inside the screen part here. Now, a couple of tricks that were mentioned in the guided tutorial, where if we need to actually separate these objects from each other. So we could say, for example, with the screen, we could select the faces that we want and press break, and then we'd be able to move this away from the edge of the screen. And we could stitch that back together by switching over to edges down here, and we could select the edge that we want to reconnect, and you can see that the corresponding edge turns blue, and we can use stitch to average to reconnect those. Now, of course, the issue with doing this is that the object is now stretched, so if we switch back to faces and we select the entire object, you can see that this whole side is warped to reconnect. But what we can do with that is, if we take it away for a moment, we can go up to Tools, and we can hit Relax, and we can apply this to relax the object to its original scale. We'll just move that back in. In fact, I'll hit Ctrl Z just to undo those changes to put it back exactly how I had it. Just make sure, yeah, we're reconnected there. Nice. So the next thing that we're going to do is we'll close the UV editor and we're going to right click on Unwrap UVW and we're going to collapse 2. We're going to hit yes, and that's going to bake the UV map into the model itself. So if this model is taken into other software, the UV map will still exist. So we're going to get the Unwrap UVW again. Here you can see that if I open the UV editor, everything is how we had it aligned previously. So next we're going to collapse 2 again, and we're going to hit yes, and then we're going to export this model. So we're going to go to File and Export, and just export. And once you've found a location that you're going to save it, we want to, of course, prefix this with SM underscore for static mesh, because we'll be using it in Unreal Engine. And then we're going to save this. And then in geometry, we just want to ensure that smoothing groups is ticked, so that we take the data for the smoothing groups on the model along with it. And hit OK. And that'll export the model into the files. I'll just pull that open now. And you can see here that we have sm underscore arcadecabinet.fbx, and that's the 3D model ready to throw into Unreal Engine. So creeping over into tutorial 4 now, but I feel that it's worth packaging in here now. We're going to want to export the UV map that we created. So we're going to go back into the modifiers panel and we're going to search for Unwrap UVW again. And then we're going to open the UV editor and just double check that we've got no overlapping UVs and that none of the UVs actually leave the texture space, which we've already done that. We're going to open up Tools and we're going to render UVW template. We're going to set the texture space to 2048 by 2048 to give us a 2K texture space. The next thing we're going to want to do is choose an output location. Once you've found a location to save it, we're going to call it UVW Template underscore arcade machine. And we're going to save it as a JPEG. Going to hit save. We're going to make sure that the quality is 100 on best, and we're going to hit OK. And then we're going to want to hit render UV template. After pressing render UV template, we'll have an image generated in the location that we defined, a lot like this one, and this will be ready for texturing when we move on into Photoshop, which is where we plan to texture this model. So with that done, we're going to move on to working on the modified version of the arcade cabinet. I'll switch over to that file now. So now that we're in the modified cabinet file, we're going to do much the same as we did before. We're going to go to the modifiers panel, select editable poly, and find Unwrap UVW. Once we're in here, we're going to open the UV editor, and we can see it's a little bit of a mess at the moment, but we'll sort that out. Map channel, bump up to 2, abandon, drop down to 1, move, and that's cleared the seams that were pre-generated. And then we're going to select all of these. And we've got everything in the scene selected. If we just do a quick spin around, we can see all of that. We're going to go to mapping, normal mapping, and we're going to set this to box mapping and hit OK. We're going to change over to the texture checker so that we can check for any skewing, and we are going to select everything again and scale up, just so that we can see more clearly if there are any twists or skews in this. So just deselect now and we can have a look. I don't see any warps, everything seems to be looking okay. Check on the underside. Yep, everything seems good. So, next step, we'll highlight all of this, and we're going to do pack custom, and that's packed everything into the texture space. And now we need to go around all of this, especially all this with the controls there. That's a little bit messy. We're going to go around all of this and trying to fit it neatly and efficiently inside the texture space. So I'll time-lapse this part again, so that you don't need to hear me rambling as I work. Okay, so we've reached a point now where I feel like I'm not going to be able to repackage this any neater. So we'll move on from here. We're going to close the UV editor and we are going to right click on Unwrap UVW and collapse to, just to bake those UVs to the model. And then we're going to go back into here and search for the Unwrap UVW. We're going to open the UV editor. Then we're going to go to mapping. No, we're not. We're going to go to tools, sorry. Then we're going to go to render UVW template. Set the texture resolution to 2048 by 2048, the same as we did for the other model. And we'll set an output location. And here I'm going to select the same UV that we exported before, and I'm just going to change it to arcade machine modified, so that we know this is the arcade machine with the extra detail applied. Okay, and we'll save that. Oh, sorry, we need to set this to a JPEG. Now we'll save that. Going to set best quality and hit OK. And that should be in the documents. I'll just show that now. Did of course forget to hit render UV template there, but it is there now. And we can open that and we can see that this is the now modified UV Unwrap. So I'll close these down and I will of course export this model. So we're just going to collapse to again, and now we just have the model. We're going to export and I'll find a location for it. And once we have the location for it, I already have the one created from the tutorial during this tutorial. So we're going to select that. I'm just going to add modified to the end of that so that we know which files we're working in, and hit save. And again, we need to make sure that we have smoothing groups turned on to export the smoothing groups that we set up for this model. We'll hit OK. And that will be in the documents again. I'll just show that now. And there we have the FBX file for the arcade cabinet modified, ready to import into Unreal Engine. That concludes tutorial 3, Assess tutorial 3. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.